Hey guys, it's Chris here from Chris's Creative Life, and I design workshops that help you create beautiful projects from start to finish with easy to follow guides. And as I promised, I am back today to create a layout with one of the specialty stamps from Stamptacular, which is the June sale from Close to My Heart that features all sorts of stamp sets, just stamp sets, and thin cuts, all of the things. So I'm just going to share this into one place and we'll get started. So yesterday I created a card and I'm actually going to bring it back and show you as soon as I spot it in my office because it turned out so pretty. I took pictures and I'm going to add them. Oh, here it is. Here it is. So I used the floral wishes, and then there's love story, and then I colored with the tri-blend markers, and this was a piece of artwork that was posted from Close to My Heart. So I thought it would be just kind of a fun little exercise to recreate also the layout. Okay, so I'm obviously going to recreate the Canadian version of the layout. But I'm going to kind of say along the way, it would be super easy to swap this out for either of the stamp sets for the other countries, or to use other things to swap it out to create a similar layout, just maybe with different products. Okay, so here's the card from yesterday, but there will be, I'm going to post pictures later with the finished card. So then here are those 5 specialty stamp sets. So on top of the ones that are like just the regular line that are included in the sale, they created these 5 special stamp sets. So I'm going to create with this one today, the home and native land. But like I said, I think you could very easily swap out different things for like using the same layout idea and swap it out for other stamps. I actually think you could probably even use the floral wishes. It would totally work on a scrapbooking page because there's lots to pick from, right? So, okay, 1 second here. Let's share this. And then we'll get started. Of course, Facebook has to be a little difficult too. I really shouldn't say that because then that just means that, they're going to make things even more difficult. But okay, here we go. I am sharing it into my group. Okay, so the other thing I did want to mention too as we start. So this is my business page, right? So you're all watching on my business page, or now that I've shared it into a group, you could potentially be watching it on one of my groups. So just so you know, I have a little plan of something fun I'm going to do in the month of July and August. That's going to happen on my Facebook group, which is Chris's Creative Life. And I can add the link below during this video so that if you want to jump over there and kind of follow it in July and August, I have a little fun thing up my sleeve. Always got something on the go, right? Okay, so I thought I would just show you their original layout. Okay, so like I said, we're going to swap some things out. And I think you could very easily use this layout and just swap it out. For sure, you could just change up the colors. So obviously our flag is white and red. They use scarlet, and I'm going to use candy apple because I feel like that'll go more with my pictures, because when I am doing things or looking at things on Canada Day, I'm looking for more like that real red, not that scarlet red. Okay, so here is the stamp set. Like I said, though, I totally think you could easily swap this out for some of the images off of the 4th of July if you're in the US, and probably even some of the true blue ones for Australia. So, and then I'm assuming you could probably even do it with the Japanese stamp set too. which, oh, maybe I should get, I think Hannah has a costume in like a kimono thing that would probably be super pretty. Okay, so let's get started. I'll show you. So this stamp set has like the firework, and it's exactly the same firework on the US one. So I'm just going to move the things out of my way. And so here is the color palette, which I actually really love. So it's toffee. And like I said, I subbed out candy apple. I have pewter and glacier. Love the color combination. And then there's Sundance in here too, but you could totally swap it out for a different color too. So I did pre-stamp some things, but we're going to talk about them all along the way because there's a few technique things that I need to do to start with. So I have 2 stencils here. These are both, I think, from the stencil 2-pack. They used the one that was like the Starburst, but I'm actually going to use this one from the stencil pack 2, which is the little dots and the stars. So they used the star one and that Starburst one. So I do have spots for 2 4x6 photos, and I have put like a little tiny skinny mat on them, just like a 1/8 of an inch. So we're going to add those. Then I said, remember, I have candy apple instead of scarlet. I have toffee pieces, and I have a piece of Sundance. And then, so they have a white daisy piece, which we're going to stencil right away. And then it's matted with mink, and then it's put on toffee. So I'm just going to grab my all-purpose mat from behind me, and I'm going to put it down. So I'm going to move the toffee and the mink out of the way. I'll actually tell you what I decided, a size I decided. So for the mink, I made it 11 by 11. And then the white daisy, I did 10 3/4 by 10 3/4. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to first use, like I said, this dot stencil. This is like my favorite stencil. I love it. And I think if you look at all the times I've used it, they're all really different. And this one, I think you will find, is very different also. So with the glacier, it's just kind of subtle in the background. So I just have a little piece of washi on here, but I'm actually going to use the full stencil. So I'm just going to pull this off because I need that space. Okay. And I am just going to grab a little something to, so I'm just kind of centering it, and I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to wash it down from the back side because I'm going to do the whole background. So I'm just going to attach it to my stencil on the back side so it won't slip. So, and it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, but there we go. Okay, so then I have 2 sponge pieces. I have one that I have a little piece of glacier on. I'm going to use in my glacier ink. And then I have one that I'm going to use in the toffee ink, and that's for the stars. So we're going to start with the glacier ink, and I'm just going to move my keyboard out of the way so that I don't hit it and shut us down. So sponge ink, and I'm just going to rub it in a circular motion through the stencil to kind of create a fun background here. And like I said, you could totally use the other stencil. They used the Starburst one. This is my favorite one. So I wanted to get some more use out of it, right? And I do know that there's going to be a lot of stuff here in the middle, so I don't really need to worry too much about it. But I don't know if you notice, I'm making a little bit stronger around the middle. Probably lots of it's going to be covered up. And then I'm kind of just fading out to the outside. So you're going to kind of get that same gradient that they've achieved with the starburst, but I'm doing it with the dots. Okay. And you can add as much or as little as you want. You could leave out some spaces. So you can see I get a nice like gradient there. So I'm just gonna flip it around. And some of it's going off the edge. All the things. So like I said, I totally think, and every once in a while I'm just kind of lifting it up and checking to see how I like it. And we are almost finished. So then next I'm going to lay the star stencil right over top, and I'm going to do the same thing with some of the smaller stars in a couple of the spots. Let's just finish filling in. I just don't want any harsh lines. So I'm just making sure I'm not stopping and starting somewhere. Okay, so again, I'm just going to kind of peek and make sure that I like it. I'm going to do. So I'm going to leave my tape on the back piece, and I'm pulling off my stencil because now I'm going to lay the star one down. So this is from that same stencil pack, I think stencil pack number 2. And I kind of want to use the smaller stars. So I'm just touching it down on that washi because it's facing upwards, so it will stick. So I'm just going to show you. So they have some across the top and over on this side. So I'm actually going to do that same thing, but I like this really small, like the smaller, not the smaller cluster, the smaller stars. So I'm going to use that part of the stencil on both sections. So I'm going to actually flip it, and I'm going to use the toffee ink. So you could obviously switch it out for different colors, right? You could do it red, white, and blue. You could do it anything really. Just pick a combination of colors. But like I said, I really like this combination of colors. Okay, I'm just going to see. Okay, I don't want a lot of toffee. I want it kind of really subtle in the background. So I'm just making sure I don't have too much ink. Because even like, look at that. So I literally just touched it down, and you can see how much ink I have in there, right? So I'm going to be gentler. And I know I want it up here. Let me just, so see. And then I'm going to flip the stencil, and I'm going to go right about here. I really like this cluster right here. So same thing, I'm just touching it down into the washi that's facing up. I tap some off and very gently go in and put a few stars. So now I've created like another layer on my white daisy. So look how pretty that is, right? Okay, so now I'll take it out all the way to the edge on that side. So that is my stenciling. So now I think I'm going to grab a shimmer brush, and I think we're going to use the toffee one. Okay, so I'm going to cover up my ink. I'm going to shake up my shimmer brush. I can actually take the washi off the back now because I don't need it to hold down my stencil anymore. So in the same spots where I added the stars, I'm going to add just a little bit of toffee splatter. So I can move this out of my way. I'm just going to grab a little block. You can squeeze it down onto your all-purpose mat, but then while I still have stuff out here, I will end up with a mess. So you can either pick it up or flick it off the block. I'm just going to pick it up because I have quite a bit and I know I don't need that much. Because I just need a little bit of splatter. Okay, so that's good. I'm going to put the lid on this. And I always, before I put the lid on, make sure that it's still tight down there, especially with any of the ones that are pigmented. So that, and I'm going to keep my splatter in a safe spot out of the way in case we need it for something else. I'm going to tell you that's very brave of me because I have a tendency to maybe have accidents every once in a while. Okay, so that's what we've got going on. I'm just going to give this a second to dry. And we're actually going to add it to the mink background first. And then onto the toffee. And it's just kind of a very thin little border. So here we go. So I'm just going to add it on here first because then this piece, remember I said the mink piece is 11 by 11, so it makes it nice and, nice and easy to center on the toffee. Okay, so there I have my toffee background. So we're going to have 1/2 inch around the outside of everything, right? Okay, so I'm not going to trust myself to be straight today. I'm just going to put this on my mat. Okay, and then got 1/2 inch here. Because if I do the whole thing and then it's crooked, then I would be upset. So there we go. Okay, so that's super pretty. Okay, so then I have a few layers here. So I have a piece of candy apple, and I have this cut at 5 by 8. And then I have a piece of Sundance, and I think I'm going to use the light side. And I did this one 3 by 8. So I'm going to add it just about like that. So I have, so maybe I'll move it down a little bit. I am going to add some layers over top. And I'm going to do some stamping up here. So I want to make sure I have enough room. Okay. So, oh my goodness, sorry. There we go. So I have this piece of toffee we're going to add at the top. I'm going to, I think, make it a little bit skinnier or tuck it in underneath. But then my photo mats are right here somewhere. Okay. I'm not sure why it's, there we go. Here are my photo mats. They popped out. Okay, so I have one photo mat for right here. And one for here. And like I said, I did add a little bit of a pewter mat on there. And actually, I think I'm going to do this at the bottom instead, or maybe I'll cut it in half. Okay, so we're going to do a firework up here at the top. So the big firework. And then there's a little smaller little star, and we're going to add that in different colors too. So this looks bigger than I need. So I'm just going to add a post-it note here so that it doesn't go over onto my Sundance. Okay. That's okay. It's going to be covered up anyway. It just caught the edge there. So I am going to split this now. I'm going to do those little maple leaves along here. So let's just cut this in half. Right? There are no accidents, only another way to embellish. So I'm just going to cut this into 1/2-inch strips. And I'll use one at the top and one at the bottom. So there are 3 little leaves here. So we're going to do this properly so I don't have that same thing happen. I'll actually you could totally do these in any color too. There would be lots of fun combinations. So I'm just going to go along the strip with toffee ink on the toffee. I tried to quickly see if I could find 2 photos and print them before I started from Canada Day. But there were so many to go through, I decided that I would wait. Okay, and my little post-it note, I'm just going to tuck it in underneath here because I'm going to go right off my edge. Okay, so we got one there. And one off that side. There we go. Okay, so now we have those little strips for the top and the bottom. And we're going to add some more of the smaller fireworks in too. And so I think like this one, they have a piece of the mink across the bottom and then like the stamp of the Parliament buildings. I'm not going to do that part. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to use this one. So I might tear the edge of this here, but I have a very thin border. So I'm just going to grab my tweezers. Normally I would use a wider piece of paper before, like bigger than I actually need, so that I could tear more easily. But maybe if I start from this side, there we go. So I'm just gonna rip it towards me. This is called like creating on the fly. So because I don't have a ton of room, right, I'm just using my tweezers and I'm holding the paper pretty tight and ripping to get that kind of fun distressed edge for the bottom piece. If you tear in little sections, you have much more control, but you also get a different kind of look, right? So there we go. I'm sure it actually probably would have been easier to cut a bigger piece and restamp it, but that's okay. Okay, so we have something like this happening. And then I have these pieces. So I'm just going to kind of set them in. So this was two-tone stamped in toffee and candy apple. So I have this. I might actually add journaling spot right there. Oh wait, I have to lower this because I have this little piece to go in here. So it just says our home and native land, which is part of the national anthem. And I'm going to just sponge this so that I can find my moisture sponge. Oh, here it is. My toppy one I put behind me. Okay, so we're gonna do that there. Actually, it's gonna come over a little bit. And then there's two fireworks. So there's a candy apple one and a pewter one over here. And then we have the little flag that they have going here. So I'm actually gonna lower that just a little bit. And then there is the maple leaf with the true north strong and free. And I'm thinking I might tuck mine in right there instead. I have this little piece for the bottom. Okay, so we have the little firework. And I'm going to just add it into a few spots with the candy apple. So I'm going to do one over here and one up here and one over here, I think, and then we'll see. I don't want that on me, that's for sure. Okay, so I'm going to actually put this photo mat down, and I'm going to put it on thin 3D foam tape so I can tuck a few things. Oh no, I'm going to put this one down flat. Okay. This one I'm going to go flat. So something like that. This one. So because I don't have my photos yet, right? Hey Tara, I'm going to make sure not to add adhesive on this corner so I can just tuck my photo in after, because it's super easy to do that. Lots of times for Canada Day, we're at the lake, so there's not always fireworks. Depends on how wet the year has been. Okay, I'm actually going to put thick 3D foam on this piece here. And then, so I actually think I'm going to tuck some things underneath it. And I might add something at the bottom. So, okay, we have this like this. And this right here. So I'm going to make this actually flat. Same thing where it's overlapping my photograph. I'm not going to add adhesive there, so I can just tuck my photo in. And on the US stamp set too, there's the flag. So you could totally, like I said, use the same concept. So actually, I think I might just add like a faux stitch line across the bottom. So I'm going to add this with enough room underneath that I can do that. Okay. And then some thick 3D foam tape here, and I will add more on top after I add my photo in. So I just have it along the bottom edge here, so my photo can tuck underneath, right? This is all just loose. I can tuck my photo underneath, and then I'll just add a little bit of 3D foam tape to the corners once my photo is underneath. And actually, I think I'm going to go like this, kind of overlapping. So same kind of deal. Woo! That went flying. Like that. I'm going to get my pen and I'm going to just do some faux stitching with my pen across the bottom. And actually, I think, oh, there. I might add a little piece of white daisy there to put like the details, like not a big journaling spot, but just kind of where we are. or the year. Like the date is obviously always the same, but even just the year. Okay, a lid on my pen. Okay, and so I have these to put on, and I'm going to kind of do them like that. So I'm going to do one on thin. So I think I'm going to do thin on that pewter one for underneath. And then a little bit of the thick on the candy apple. So it's over top. Do you guys all have plans already for your Canada Day or 4th of July? So that's kind of what I'm going to tuck that white piece in there. What would I do for, so let me think. I'll think while I finish this. So I might take the same layers, right? The whatever 3 color, like do the white, and you could even just do a grid pattern on the other side, because obviously this is announcing, right, that what it is. So then I'm going to put thick on my red one. So I would just make sure to pull whatever colors you have on this side onto the other side. You could use and follow the same outer edges and fill in the middle. You could even take the same triple layer, right? The toffee, Sundance, and candy apple, and do it as a strip along the other side. So I don't know if I only have, I think, candy apple scraps here. But I see if I can show you what I mean. So that one I've got just right along the seam there. Okay, so I'm going to add a 3D foam to this piece. So yeah, if I was doing another page on the other side, I would take these 3 colors and do like the same kind of grid pattern along the outer edge, and then a grid kind of the photographs maybe. Okay. Then we have, oops. It's so weird with just the one page in the middle of my screen. But like I said, I love this color combination. I could totally use that again. So I have silver sequins here. You could also add like embellishing thread. If you're not, also you have to realize too, there's not a ton of room for journaling then on this side, right? So you would want to make sure that you had journaling space on the other, your companion page. Okay, let me move some stuff out of my way. And I'm going to add a few sequins in the middle of like this. I know. I've always really loved like the glacier and the toffee combination, like those 2 colors together. but I really like the red and the pewter in there too. So it's always good when you find a good color combination. And I actually like keep a notebook where I write things like that down, like things like that I want to use again, like a color combination that I know is very pleasing to my eye. Not everybody obviously likes the same color combination, but you could totally just swap it out for 3 colors that you really like, right? And I could totally see doing this exact same layout, but swapping it out for the flowers, right? So same thing, right? You create a small cluster here, a bigger cluster here, and then if you're doing your companion page, you'd want your other cluster either here or over on the far side of that layout, right? So this looks really yucky with all my garbage in the corner of my screen there. Okay. So just because like that floral stamp set is like, I think, designed for cards, right? You could totally use it on layouts. Okay, so I want, for sure, I'm going to start with little silver ones in each of those little firework pieces. So, sorry, I'm just trying to get so I could actually, okay. So I'm just gonna dump some out here. I think, oh, I thought it was too big, but no, actually I don't mind that one. But it would be, this would be super easy to turn into 2-page spread too. And like I said, just whatever you're putting in your clusters, make sure you're doing it on your companion page too. Okay, so like I said, I think that I would put a little piece of white right in there for the date or the year. And so I'm just going to add a little bit of toffee ink to the outside so it matches this little piece of white daisy. And I actually think I might, because I'm thinking I just want a little bit of a black line around the outside too. Woo. Just to kind of go with the stitching there. So like I said, this is obviously not enough room for journaling, right? So I'm just going to put like the date or place or whatever where we are. And then add like maybe a bigger journaling box on the other side. So there we go. I think I'm going to add a few more sequins though. So I'm just going to kind of tuck this in here. Just like that. And add a few more sequins on here. Oh, here we go. So it's the same thing, right? Like, I think that it's why certain people like certain paper collections too, right? Because they really like the color combination. But sometimes I also think it's all about the finding different color combinations that you might not, because lots of times, right, we try and like match clothes or match environment or whatever. So sometimes it's good to think outside the box. So I have my stitch line down there on that red. I actually think I'm going to add it up there on the Sundance too to finish it off. Just to kind of tie the top and the bottom together. You could also totally use a stamp, but this is just faster versus having to grab my stamp. So there we go. Okay, guys, that's it. We are done. So like I said, unless you want to add some more things into the clusters, right, you totally could, but this was kind of their version. And then this is what we did with it. Just because I didn't want to put, like, some of the steps I might not necessarily actually seem like I needed them. And of course, I've got to switch a few things up. And I still don't know that might necessarily add these in somewhere. Maybe after. Okay, so this was a fun little exercise. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So I know, so you could totally, that's why I said, I think that, I mean, obviously I'm going to create the Canadian version because I'm Canadian, right? And so that's what my holiday will be. But as soon as I saw it, I knew that people would not be able to look past the fact that it was the Canadian layout. But it's so easy to swap out. And like I said, there are very similar stamp sets, right? So you could switch this, like the Land of the Free. I would, let me put it down back on my desk so you could see. You could switch it out so it ran this way, right? Or I'm not sure how big this 4th of July is, but same thing. It's easy to swap these three elements out for other stamp sets, right? The fireworks are the same. You could also use the other stencil if you wanted, like the Starburst stencil, because it kind of, I thought I liked this because I really like this stamp, which is the little tiny, they're little tiny circles that look like fireworks. So I wanted to play up the dots versus the Starburst look of this one here. Right? But you could also, like I said, pick different colors to match whatever you are doing. So, but I love that when they do Stamptacular, that they throw some fun things in there, like those specialty stamps that you might not have. Like if you've gotten everything, all the stamps that you think that you want already from Stamptacular, at least there's something else to pick from, right? So that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Bye-bye, guys.